Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Device Diaries. You guys, today's episode 42, and you guys are in for a treat because I have a very special guest. So, today's episode I titled From Trauma to Transformation Thriving in High Stakes Medical Sales. And it'll make more sense once I introduce my guest. So, without further ado, let me introduce to you guys Miss Allie Flax. With a proven track record in the competitive world of medical sales, Allie brings almost a decade of industry expertise and a passion for advancing patient care. Allie launched her career at Stryker as a foot and ankle trauma representative in a demanding environment known for its high performance culture. She has since transitioned to a dynamic role in breast aesthetics for Johnson & Johnson, where she partners with plastic surgeons to support patients for both breast cancer reconstruction as well as cosmetic breast surgery. Allie offers valuable insights into navigating career growth, building strong relationships, and succeeding in high-stakes sales environments. Welcome to the show, Allie.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited because this girl is on fire, you guys. And we're going to talk about her LinkedIn page towards the end of this episode because she's all over LinkedIn. And what I love about her is she not only shares talks about her work life, she also shares a lot about her personal life. And I want to talk about that for a second, Allie. And because before I have so many questions for you, girl, by the way. I'm really excited. But I kind of want to talk about that for a second because I think now I find more and more reps like us really opening their lives on LinkedIn. So what made you even decide to create a brand on LinkedIn?
It truly kind of just stemmed from a passion of writing. So I've always enjoyed writing, didn't really have an outlet to do so. I get a lot of questions even before I started my whole LinkedIn journey about how I transitioned from the ortho space to the aesthetic space. So one day I was like, you know what, I'm just going to write a post about it. And that way people can, ask me questions from there, but at least the general consensus of how I transitioned would be out there in the public. And from then on, it kind of just took off into what it is today, which has been a lot of fun. It's a creative outlet for me. I share, a lot about just my day to day and kind of what's going on. And then also get a lot of questions that kind of stem into future posts as well.
That's awesome, Allie. And for you guys who are wondering how we actually met on LinkedIn. I messaged her because I've been following her page, super inspired with what she's doing. And you know me with really I love seeing not just women, other people succeed in this space. All right, so let's get started. So my first question for you, which you kind of open up a little bit. We talked about your bio. You started your career in Stryker, which trauma. You guys, if you guys don't know trauma, it's pretty intense. It's a very intense space. What was it like stepping into that world and how did it shape you early on?
I think right off the bat, people told me when I took the job, they said, be ready to drink from a fire hose. And I laugh because it couldn't be more true. I think walking into a trauma role, you can try and understand from the interview process or from speaking to other reps, but truly there's nothing that can prepare you for stepping into that role. It was as much work and more than I thought it was going to be. However, I was ready for that. And it was a point in time in my life where I had expressed in my interview, I'm ready to put my head down. I'm ready to work hard. I want to build my career in medical sales. So I'm going to do whatever I need to do. So I reminded myself, even in the hardest moments and days where I was, frustrated and tired and, didn't maybe want to be getting a call at 11 p.m. to go run trays, that this is what I had signed up for. And it's going to get me eventually to where I want to go.
I love that. I love that story because my background is actually spine, so I can totally relate. I didn't do much trauma when I was in spine. I was on call when my physicians were on call, obviously. So there are a lot of like, I mean, you gotta have your phone with you 24/7. What was that like for you? Let's talk about the stress, right? The amount of stress that entails on just like I can never put my phone down. I have to be on the go 24/7. Was there Did you practice any routine every day that kind of prepared you for the daily grind that you're about to go through?
I have a big routine now. My day is pretty rigid and structured, and I know what I need to do in my today's world. I think in the trauma world, you really can't, because your day is changing so much that it's really hard to, now I can wake up in the morning. I know what time I can need to get to the gym to be able to get to my cases on time, etc. In the trauma world, that just necessarily, it doesn't really work, because if you get a call while you're at the gym or wherever, you got to pick up and go at that time. So I think I always had my phone on me. It was a very high stress, high pressure environment that, truthfully, as I mentioned, I wasn't prepared for. I would consider myself a pretty low stress individual. So that job really took a toll on me, because I'm always striving to be the best. And I was working on a team, and, you're trying to prove yourself to both your teammates, to Stryker as the company, but then, to your surgeons, right? You're brand new walking into this role, and you want to be able to be trusted, and that takes time and that takes effort. And any mistakes really, can hurt that trust with them. So it was a very high stress environment at all times. And I remember, friends and family and a lot of people I was talking to daily just really didn't understand. And so that's why I ended up getting, super close with a lot of people at Stryker and in that, in the space at the time, because those were the only ones that really understood what you're going through. And it's a hard thing to explain.
Amen. Oh my gosh, I can totally relate to that story because it's so hard. I remember my family's like, "You're still working? It's almost midnight." I'm like, "Yeah, I am." It never ends. Or I remember Ali at that time. I had dogs, so I had to figure out, okay, like I'm gonna be who's gonna watch my dogs.
Right.
All these things that you kind of have to be able to pivot. And with this job, with this especially in trauma, you guys have to be so flexible. So for those of you guys who wants to get into trauma sales, just be prepared, just be willing to work, be ready for the grind, and be ready to pivot all the time. It is a high stress job, but it truly is rewarding. It is. So let's talk about that, Ali, for a second. What was that like for you? The very first case to where you realized that you've done in trauma. So let's talk about that for a second. And then you went home and said, wow, this actually felt good, to where I actually changed someone's life. Can you walk us through that day?
Sure. I think a lot of the days for me kind of blend together now. I've been out of that world for, over 5 years, but I do remember the moments of, leaving a case and being so proud of myself that
Yeah.
I helped the surgeon through the entire case. I made sure everything was ready to go at the exact time that they needed it. I had, the drill in his hand before he asked for it. The case went flawlessly, and you walk out of there and you're like, I did it. I'm so proud of myself. But the crazy part about trauma is the next day or even the next case an hour later, things could go AWOL, and
Mhm.
you're in a situation where you're like, I thought this was going to be an easy 1-2 case, but really, something happened. We can't get the screw out. We don't have the right screwdriver, whatever it is. And you're like, again, in this high stress environment. So I felt like for me, the job as a whole in that trauma environment was very up and down.
Mhm.
It is rewarding. And as you move along in your trauma journey, after being there for 2+ years, like I felt comfortable, walking into any cases that I needed to, not necessarily that everything was going to go flawlessly, but I was comfortable enough that we'd figure it out. Whereas, starting at the beginning of the job, I remember I'd be driving to a case and I would like be praying in the car that the case would get canceled or something would go wrong because I was so nervous to get in there because I was afraid that I wasn't going to have all the right things to say. And I think that is also one of the things I loved about Stryker was they're very confident in who they hire. And you might not necessarily feel ready, but they're going to put you in that case or get you in that role because they're confident in you and they're going to support you and they know you'll figure it out. So that was one of the things I really admired about being in the job is as ready as maybe I didn't feel, my teammates, my manager, and the company as a whole were like, you'll be fine. You'll figure it out. And that's why we hired you.
That's awesome. I love that answer because you guys, for those of you who are probably, I don't know what you're going through, maybe you're struggling a little bit, life is about learning. Okay. There's no such thing as I know it all. Let's go. There's no, I wish that was the case. But then if you guys are not failing, I wouldn't even call it failing. I call it like lessons, right? And that's how you become better, because for me, the times that the case didn't go well, or didn't go the way I wanted it to go, those actually put marks in my brain on what not to do in the future and how to be better in the future, right? So every day you're learning, you're improving, you're getting better. So give yourself a break, you guys. For those of you guys who are struggling right now, I know, Ali, burnout is such a huge topic right now. It's a hot topic. So just keep going. Have that surround yourself with the right people, just like what Ali talked about in the beginning, and really, geez, rely on your team, you guys. And that's something that I had to learn nowadays, coming from ortho, selling, being a distributor to now working with a big team. I remember my interview, Ali, they asked me, Gaida, what's your weakness? And I said, my weakness is not asking for help. My weakness is not asking for help. So ask for help, you guys. Your team is there to help you, or like call a friend or call another rep, or LinkedIn is such a good platform. It's a huge community. There's a huge community on LinkedIn for med device, you guys. So use that platform. All right, Ali, now I want to talk about what you do now. So what inspired you to transition from trauma to what you do now in breast aesthetics? Like, what was that day like for you, and how did you make that switch?
I kind of hit a little bit of, what you mentioned of the burnout trauma lifestyle, exactly what you said about not asking for help. There was always this like cloud over my head that was like, keep proving yourself, like, can't ask for help. You got to figure it out on your own. And it takes a toll on you. If I could go back, I would probably change, a few of those things to maybe not hit that period of time. But I did hit that period where I felt like the juice wasn't worth the squeeze for me anymore. And I also, and this will be real for a lot of people in this industry. When I started at Stryker, was at the bottom of the totem pole of my team. And I didn't see a lot of upward mobility for me there because there was no signs of my teammates leaving. I was always going to be below them. I was always going to be less experienced than they were, if we just continued on. So I didn't see like a great upward mobility and future for me in that specific role. Again, I loved Stryker as a company. I loved my teammates. I'm still in contact with them all the time. It just, for my career path, didn't seem the best for me. So I started to look at other options. And this is something I preach a ton about now on LinkedIn and everything, is I think we get so, stuck in our bubble of where we are in the medical sales world, and we have no idea all of the options out there. There are so many different positions within medical sales, pharmaceutical sales, all of it. So many different things to sell. And I had no idea because I was in this ortho bubble. And I thought ortho was, the only option for me. I was the classic, I played sports, I'm competitive, I want to be in an orthopedic role. I was that classic, person looking for that ortho job. So when I was deciding to transition, I did what I preach now. I just reached out to tons of different people on LinkedIn. LinkedIn for medical sales wasn't then exactly what it is now. There weren't a lot of people that were telling you, how to transition or where to go next, or, offering a ton of advice. Just started scouring LinkedIn. I saw what available jobs were. I was actually looking to move out of Baltimore at the time. So I was looking in Virginia, and this plastic surgery role came across my page, and I reached out to some of the reps at the company as well as the manager I found on LinkedIn, and I reached out to him, and fast forward to today, that's who ended up hiring me. But it all started from LinkedIn, and truly, I didn't really know anything about plastic surgery sales, and I also didn't know anything about, was interviewing for some other positions at the time as well that I knew nothing about. And LinkedIn and talking to the reps and the managers is what kind of helped me transition. I will say, what I did know is that I didn't want to be in a trauma role anymore. I didn't want to have my phone 24/7. I did not want to work weekends. And because of the time that I had put in at Stryker, and I felt like I had learned so much, I worked my butt off. And for all of those reasons, I felt like I had, 2 feet to stand on, and, something to walk in and say, hey, I'm ready for my next step, and you can trust me and you can hire me. And here's why. While I didn't know exactly what avenue I wanted to go into, I did have, a list of pros and cons of, every position I was interviewing for at the time. And the plastic surgery role kind of fell into my lap, which isn't the best advice, but it did. And I'm very grateful for it.
Yes, you guys. Oh my gosh, that's such great advice, Ali, because a lot of times, and I say this with love, and I know I've talked about this in the past for you guys. If you're not happy with where you're at right now, maybe it's affecting you mentally, physically, emotionally. Take care of you first. Take care of you first, you guys. Your job, yes, it's of course, please, how do I say this without offending anybody? If you're not having your job, get out.
Yeah.
I try to. That's my this year actually, Ali. I started this. I always write down goals and like how to better myself as a person.
Love it.
And I'm a little bit of a I say how I feel. That's just my personality.
Me too.
Hey, I'm not you see what is it like you get what you see what you get, and that's just me. Like there's no faking here, because I believe in authenticity. I believe in coming out as your true self. So speaking of which, for you guys who are not happy with what you're doing right now, if you're not happy with your job or your company or your boss, get out. It's not worth it. If you find yourself complaining every day of like, oh, I gotta go see this customer. Oh, I gotta go to work. Oh, I gotta do this case. I gotta do this. Oh, I hope this case cancel. Oh, I hope, find a different industry. Okay. It's not worth it. You trust me, you guys. Burnout is such a huge thing. And the good thing about those emotions, like feeling burnout, feeling overworked, is you have control. You are responsible. You have the ability to change the way you feel. And if that takes changing your environment, that takes changing your environment. That's exactly what Ali and myself did. I went from ortho spine, which is freaking crazy. I mean, I am again the true. I am literally the if you look for an ortho spine rep, female, I'm it. They found me. I was a personal trainer. I was I don't like to use the word aggressive, but I was a lot. I'm not afraid to put myself out there. I'm not afraid to ask questions. I'm not afraid to get in front of people and be like, be super hyper competitive. I mean, guys, I think Ali does CrossFit too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So CrossFitters were highly competitive, and I was personal trainer. So anyways, it got to a point to where I just find myself working 24/7, and I forget about, taking care of myself, meaning like walking every morning. I get to enjoy all those the fruits of my labor now because I allowed myself to transition from a high demand, stressful environment, which taught me a lot, to where I'm at now, and having a team and learning how to work with a team. So you're always learning, you're always growing, right? So for those of you guys that are in a position right now to change career, to change paths, if you're not happy, only if you're not happy, I highly recommend you do so. And the cool thing about LinkedIn is there's a lot of resources out there. Reach out to people like Ali and I, and we'll tell you everything that we did and how we did it. All right, Ali, we'll keep going. I love this. I love this conversation. I told you I have lists of questions, but I never follow it. Okay. So how do you stay motivated, Ali, and sharp in a career that demands both technical knowledge and emotional intelligence?
Motivation and discipline are kind of one and the same for me, because I feel like there are, let's be real, like there are going to be times where you're not motivated, and we can talk about that even, outside of the workplace in the gym, right? There are times where you're like, I just don't want to go today, and that's, if we're being authentic and human, that's going to happen in your job as much as you love it, right? I love what I do every day, but there are some days where I'm like, I don't necessarily want to jump up and run into the hospital today. So motivation and discipline are one and the same for me. So there's no option, right? This is my job. This is what I signed up to do. My company is counting on me. My surgeons are counting on me. The patients on the table are counting on me to be there. And I think for me, in the back of my head, trying to remember and remind myself like what these patients are going through, right? They're going through a traumatic, potentially, right? I sell both to breast cancer reconstruction patients, but I also do cosmetic surgery. But for the cancer side, a traumatic surgery that is life altering for them, I'm not going through that on that day, but I'm going to make a difference in the outcome that they're going to have. So to me, that's motivating, even on the days where maybe I'm not motivated to jump out of bed and do it. Also, I think just in this industry, you either have it or you don't, of that mentality of like, I am not going to let someone down. And that's part of that is something I work on daily about. I struggle to even take vacations because I'm the only one in my territory, and I'm not okay with something like being left on the table, or FedEx not showing up with what they need, and then I'm not there to help them. So I do struggle with that, and I know I try and work on it all the time, but I think you have that mentality of like, I don't want to let anybody down, right? So I think that is part of the motivation for me, just to continue pushing on every day.
I love that. And one thing that really geez, again, you just struck a chord, because I'm the same way. I'm that person, Ali, to where I'm on vacation and I'm checking my emails. I'm really bad at it. I would like slap my hand, like, stop it. Don't look at your phone. Don't open up your computer, because it's almost like, I wouldn't call it like, it's a little bit of FOMO, like what's going on, at the same time, I want to make sure that my customers know that they're being taken care of. And my customers know that I'm there, I'm always there for them. And that's good, you guys. And I think, again, for those of you guys who are struggling maybe to hit your quota and sales, stop with approaching your customer and being too salesy. And when I say salesy, what I meant by that is like, don't look at your job as like, oh, I'm gonna make a ton of cash, but if I close this deal, right? Look at it as like, who am I serving and what am I doing? So for those of you who just wants kind of like, an advice on like how to become successful and at the same time really master that work-life balance, it's really be clear about what your mission statement is. Okay. And I'm not talking about businesses. I'm talking about you as a person. Why are you waking up every morning and doing whatever it is that you do every day? You got to be clear. And if you're not clear with what your mission is, you guys are you're never going to be fulfilled, whatever it is that you're doing. So start with that. If there's anything you can take out of this podcast today with Ali and I talking about it, Ali's very clear with who she's serving, too clear. Sometimes, right, Ali? And yes, you guys, it's okay to take a break. I think you deserve it. You owe it to yourself to take a break, because in order for you guys to run 1,000,000 miles per hour, you got to take care of this first, this body, this mind, right? And sometimes shutting off all the noises is good. And I know I'm guilty. My manager is like, Gaida, why are you responding to text message when you're on PTO? I'm like, because then why are you texting me when I'm on PTO? I mean, hello. So, but you guys just practice it. One thing I learned, Ali, about habits. I listened to a lot of podcasts every morning, and life is habit. So it's either good or bad. It's a habit, right? So how do you replace a bad habit, which is you're on PTO and not enjoying it, with a good habit? Well, it's practice. You got to do it every day, right? And you got to hold yourself accountable for not looking at your phone, for not answering those emails. And the more you do it, the better it gets, just like your career, right? Ali started scared, trauma, getting thrown in an environment that she's not used to, right? And then the more she does it, the more comfortable she gets. And now she's in a very rewarding career that she loves. She loves who she serves. She loves what she does so much that she doesn't like to take her PTO. Seriously, which I'm going to hold Ali accountable. And Ali and I are going to hold each other accountable that when we're on PTO, we're actually going to learn how to enjoy it. And I remember, Ali, one advice that I actually started doing when I'm going on vacation is, instead of, I used to be the selfie girl of like, guys, I'm on vacation. Now enjoy it. I'm on vacation, guys. Look at, now I'm like,
it.
You're right. See, you've done it too. I feel like you've done it too. Now I'm like, Gaida, put your phone away, because what you're seeing right now, you cannot recreate.
Love
Okay.
that.
So yeah, what you're seeing, you cannot recreate. Enjoy every single moment. Smell, like, stop. My mom always tells me, Ali, stop and smell the roses.
Yeah.
I didn't really get what she was saying until now. I think it took me a little bit to, I'm like, you're right. Life is short. They say that an average human being, if you're healthy, you live up to 80. Well, guess what? I'm 40 plus. I am halfway there, you guys. So, and
so you made a great point, and I wanted to echo, your surgeons, just as we know, like your customers in general, not just surgeons, but they take vacation too. We all know that, right? Like the weeks that they're gone, and we're the ones who are always like, go have a great time, all that stuff. They also want you to take vacation, right? And so if they trust you, I love how you added earlier, be less salesy, and they can see your why, right? And there's a time and a place to be salesy, right? And they know that, and that. And at the end of the day, we all know, what we're doing there. But you don't always have to be salesy, and they'll know your why, and your social awareness is huge to that, of when the right time and place is. But my surgeons always encourage me to take PTO. They're like, when is your next trip? Where are you going? What are you doing? And they love hearing about my life, because, it's more than just a job to me. So they know what's going on in my life, and I know what's going on in theirs. And so that's important too. And they'll trust you, right? So I have learned that I start telling them in advance, like, hey, I'm going away next week. I'm going on vacation. I'll be here. I probably still say to them, like, if you really need anything, call me, which I probably should not do that. But because they know I'm going on vacation and I'm always there, they won't call me, because they're like, she's on vacation and we want her to have a good time, and they will. And still to this day, even when I'm not on vacation, I have people that'll call me and they're like, I am so sorry. And I'm like, you don't have to say sorry. It's my job. But they just, they know you're going to be there. They trust you. And they feel guilty, for needing something, when really that's our job. But it's this relationship that you create with them, and this trust.
Right.
And that's what's most important in this industry.
I love this, Ali, and that's exactly why what I'm trying to get out of this episode for those of you guys, because Ali has made, I titled this. This is episode 42 of the Device Diaries, titled "From Trauma to Transformation: Thriving in High Stakes Medical Sales." Guys, in order for you guys to thrive in this crazy world of medical sales, you guys have to take care of yourself. We are not robots; we're human beings, and it's okay to take care of yourself. I think a lot of times being a people pleaser doesn't help, because you tend to make other people happy first before you. And that's something that I had to learn with this job. because well, first of all, I learned that people pleasing is not really a good trait. So don't do it. That's what number one that I learned. I used to be proud of it. I'm just a people pleaser. And then I remember a surgeon actually guided, that's not a good trait. Don't be bragging about it. So yeah, so it's okay, guys. Take that time off, enjoy yourself, take care of yourself, take care of your mind. All right, I want to keep going, Ali. And this question I love asking because I love, you know, especially seeing the transformation of how people grow from their young selves and the newbie, you know, first day in school in med device or medical sales to where they're at now. If you can give yourself your newbie med device one advice, what would that be? If you can go back in time and you're talking to day one in medical sales, Ali coming into work, what advice would you tell yourself and why?
I would say relax and trust in the process. And I think it kind of ties back into what I talked about before of this high stress environment and this mentality to always be the best and never make mistakes. And you put this pressure on yourself. And in the end, you end up burning out because the pressure on yourself is greater than what it needs to be. And if I can go back, I would say just relax. Like take a deep breath. You know, if you missed a screw in the tray, the world's not ending. Like we're going to figure it out. There's always a second option. There is always, like, you will figure it out. Whether it is picking up the phone and calling your senior rep or your manager and admitting, you know, you messed up, but you need some advice on where to go next. I was just always terrified and I was always in this panic mode to make sure that everything went flawlessly. It was like I would take a huge deep breath before I'd walk into a case. I'd go in the case, never breathe the entire case, and then I'd let the breath out when I walked out of the case. And it was just such an not sustainable way to operate. And like you said, I wasn't taking care of myself mentally. You know, I've always loved working out and the gym is an outlet for me, but it was like, when can I get there? When can I not? You know, and it was, I probably wasn't eating correctly because you're always running around and whatever you can grab, you know, and shove down your throat when you are in between cases, right? And I would even, you know, get so nervous when my teammates would walk into a case if I was the one who had stocked the tray. So really my advice would be like, one, just take a step back. And also it's okay to say, you know, can you help me with this? I want to make sure I'm doing this correctly. Or, you know, let me do it first. And then maybe you come in and check over it to make sure I did it because I'm not feeling 100% confident. And I want to make sure we have everything we need. So I, you know, being almost a decade into medical sales now, I have this confidence and the confidence is being okay with saying, I don't know, or I'm not sure, or I would like someone else to look over this or give me advice or whatever that is. I'm not afraid to say, I'm not sure about this, or, you know, can you explain that to me more? Or can you show me what you mean? And back then it was like, I felt like I needed to know all the answers. I needed to have everything and I couldn't ask those questions. So that was the pressure that I was really putting on myself, which in turn made it 10 times worse for me.
And listen to that, you guys. What Ali just said, pressure I am putting on myself. It's not, nobody else is putting it on us. It's us putting it on ourselves. And another no, by the way, you guys, based on, and Ali and I, we're pretty similar as far as how we operate. Perfectionism, okay? No, oh my gosh. I remember I'm like, everything has to be lined up perfect. Even back then, when I, you know, my house, when I had a house, everything has to be perfect. You know, there can't be any clothes on the ground. Now I'm just like, enjoy your life. It's okay. Look away, enjoy, you know. Perfectionism is not a good thing. Nobody's perfect, you guys. And nobody likes a know-it-all anyways. Think about it. Think about that kid at school. I'm sure everybody has. I hope I wasn't that kid at school. I'm pretty sure I wasn't. To where the kid that thinks they know it all. Like, I answer first. I answer first. I don't want to give anybody a chance to succeed because I'm the best. Nobody likes that kid. Okay. And you shouldn't be the best, because if you think you're the best, that means you're not willing to learn and you're not willing to grow. So there's no such thing as being good at what you do. And Ali touched on a really, really good point about fear. You talk about fear a lot, Ali. And I feel like from hearing your story, the biggest fear you have, and correct me if I'm wrong, is fear of rejection. Fear of rejection. Am I right to say that?
Yeah. I think that's a thing a lot of us deal with in, I'll say medical sales, but also sales in general, right? But the reality is it's going to happen time and time again, right? And until we know that and you accept that, you're not going to be successful in sales. So once you accept that rejection is going to happen, and okay, where do I pivot to next, or how do I move on from that? You're going to be struggling in sales.
I know. I was listening to this podcast, Ali, and this actually it's Brian Tracy. I love him. Brian Tracy talks about when he comes into when he does his seminar, and he will go into corporations to try to help out increase the sales. He would do this exercise. He'll tell whoever gets the most no wins. Whoever gets the most no today on a sales call wins a prize. And guess what? It actually motivated a bunch of salespeople, because for them, they're like, when they pick up the phone, oh, I don't have to get a yes.
Right.
If somebody says no, I mark it and then I submit it to Brian and I win the prize. So if you look at that, you guys, if you look at that in terms of what we're doing now in sales, is I guess what I picked out of that is that, accepting that these things do happen, right? It's something that you can't control, because I feel like a lot of us sales reps, we're control freaks.
Yep.
We're like, I want to know that, the outcome is a yes. Well, the outcome is not always going to be a yes. But the good thing about that, you guys, make sure you're writing this down, is a no. When you get a no, it doesn't mean it's a forever no. It could be not right now, no, right?
Right.
And having that in the back of your head and asking those questions of like, why not now? Was it money? Was it timing? Was it because you signed a contract with a different vendor, right? There's always reasons. And I think that in order for us sales reps to sleep at night, find out those reasons. Why not now, right? So if you're coming into an account and somebody tells you no, that's okay. Take a deep breath, accept it, and just say, hey, can I ask why? Can I ask why? I'm just curious. Is it because budget? And they're gonna tell you. You just have to ask. Okay. Right. And again, a lot of times when people don't ask, because they're afraid of getting rejected again. Like, oh, I don't want double rejection. Like, please don't break up with me twice a month. It sucks. It already sucks. But finding out those answers prepares you for the future, right? So I think the more and more you guys get rejected, the better you are with how you handle rejection. And first thing you do is just accept that, these things do happen and it's okay. You just move on from it. I mean, think about your last breakup with a boyfriend. You always move on from it. The cool thing about life is this: you have the ability to control the way you think and feel. So guess what? When those situations happen, my advice to you guys, and hearing from Ali's story, just take a deep breath and say, okay, I accept it. Who do I ask for help? How can I be better at this? So next time this situation happens again, I now have some strategies in place that I can implement, to where not to say that you're still gonna get a no. Maybe you still get another no. But guess what? You keep learning and learning. The more no's you get, the better you are as a rep. All right, let's keep going, Ali. I love this discussion. I told you guys, Gaida has a script, but she like throws it away after 2 questions, because I really like to keep this as natural, as authentic as possible. Okay, Ali. So, Ali, can you walk us through a day in the life of Ali? Like, what do you do the first thing you wake up?
Sure. Wake up. My wake up time is dependent usually on my case time, because I always start my day usually with going to a case in the morning. So I either wake up at 4:30 to go to a 5 a.m. class, or I wake up at 5:30 to go around 6. So within that, hour time frame, I have a quick cup of coffee, get myself together, go to the gym. I don't have any crazy morning routine. That's actually something I'm trying to implement, but I usually wake up with enough time just to get to the gym, go work out, come home, shower. I pack a lunch every single day. So, get my lunch together, have all that. Get myself together for work. Usually my backpack with, all my stuff for the day has been set up the night before. So, kind of just grab my stuff, head out the door, head to the hospital, do my case. I'm usually there, 1 to 2 cases based on the surgeon's schedule. After that, could possibly be going to another hospital for another case, could be going to a lunch, could be going to an office for a meeting that we have scheduled. Mixed in there is always some phone calls, emails, possibly running implants. If FedEx didn't deliver or, a back order situation, I have a storage unit of implants in downtown Austin. So I spend, quite a bit of time, lugging implants back and forth. And then my afternoons are usually meetings and then home to respond to emails, phone calls, things like that I miss throughout the day. Dinner, and then nighttime is either a walk, yoga, some sort of physical. I either read or watch a little bit of TV, kind of just depending on my mood that day. And I am a early to bed, so I'm go to bed around between 9 and 10, and that's a typical day for me.
I love that, you guys. I'm so glad you mentioned you wake up so early because I do too. Because it just frees up a lot of time to do whatever it is you need to do to prepare yourself for your day, right? And I think as high functioning individuals like us in sales, I mean, high stakes medical sales, right? You gotta have some time to really prepare this. Otherwise, you'll be all over the place. And I know that if I don't wake up at 5 a.m., I already told Ali in the beginning of this podcast before we even start recording that Gaida has a self-diagnosed ADHD. My brain will be all over the place, you guys. So it's really, really important to have those routines and not just daytime routine. Like Ali mentions her nighttime routine, like before bed routine. What are you doing? Are you doing yoga? Are you writing down goals? Are you maybe writing down what you've learned that day? I think that's been such a huge part of my life recently because I used to be really, really good at my morning routines, but I'm really bad at my nightly routines to where I find myself, I mean, this is one thing I've changed, you guys. If you guys want actionable steps, stop watching Dateline. Stop watching Dateline. It's not healthy. And I remember Ali, you'll laugh at this. I travel a lot with my gig now, and I would stay in random hotels. And I remember first thing I do before bed, I would turn. I mean, cable. They have cable, so they have like whatever they have on TV now, which I don't have cable myself for a reason because I find myself watching things that doesn't really bring any mental stimulation in my mind. All it does is scares me. Right. So I used to watch a lot of Dateline when I would travel, and I remember having nightmares, not sleeping properly. Right? I mean, that's how you program your brain, you guys. So for those of you guys who wants to really thrive and survive in this crazy, ever evolving world of med device or medical sales in general, just have those routines dialed in, right? Make those healthy habits consistent, just like a day in the life of Ali. She's very consistent with her habits for a reason. How about weekends, Ali? So sounds like you have a pretty dialed in week. What do you do on the weekends? Like, do you allow yourself to have like some fun times where you can relax, some pool time, some girlfriend time? Like, what does your weekend look like?
Absolutely. Weekends for me are all different, pretty much have no structure whatsoever, which I kind of enjoy. I am an early riser just because of my, weekly routine. I have tried so hard to sleep in. It just doesn't work for me. But I get some workouts in, whether it's, a long run, going to my gym. I spend a lot of time with friends. So, and I don't know if we mentioned this, but I live in Austin. So it's pretty hot or nice temperature, usually year round. So we do a lot of things outside, now it's summer season. So this past couple of weekends, I've been out on a boat on the water, which has been great. Last night I grabbed sushi with a friend. So whatever the weekend entails, there's great live music here, comedy shows. I do enjoy traveling a lot too. So actually, and you can hold me to this, I am taking a vacation at the end of next week and going back to the East Coast, to the beach, and spending some time with family and friends. So I'm very much looking forward to that. So yeah, weekends for me are my time to relax, release. I really do not do much work related at all. Obviously, I will answer a call or text if something came through. But besides that, I try on a Friday afternoon to take my work stuff into my office and leave it there, and then come back out into my house. And that's a way for me, out of sight, out of mind. And that's been super helpful for me.
I love that, you guys. And if you guys are not doing that now, if you guys are tied into your phone, maybe having a personal phone and a work phone, or two types, or you should probably have it, just to kind of have ways on separating things. I do it. I have, like, I do the same thing, Ali. I've actually put it in a bag, so I don't have to. I zip the bag close, put it away. Don't look at it, because what you're doing is you're allowing yourself some time, some free time, to not be too structured all the time. And I think for reps, for those of you guys who wants to thrive in this field, you got to have to allow yourself to just kind of like I don't know, recharge, if you want to call it that, right? Shut everything down, recharge. Think about your computer. Your computer has to reboot once in a while. Like, think about you as a battery. Like, you have to recharge your battery so you can run a million, like Energizer Bunny, run a million miles per hour the following week, and allow yourself those vacation, which I'm going to hold Ali accountable for her to enjoy. I'm gonna text her and see if she responds. I'm just kidding. I won't do that. That's kind of mean. But Ali, we're getting there. So I really want you to leave our guests 3 advice on how to thrive in high stakes medical sales.
3 pieces of advice. Okay. So yeah, and this kind of goes off of, I do want to make a point. I now have my weekends where I totally, disconnect from work completely. But I think when I started in my medical sales journey, as you and I talked about, Guida, like we strive for perfection. We want to be the best. We don't want to let people down. So I did spend a lot of weekends studying and, learning cases and learning my products. And, for me in this position now, it's a different sort of learning. It's not as much memorizing, lengths of screws and which drill goes with which screw and all that. But that was something I had to do. And I think it's important. Like, my first piece of advice to leave you with is take ownership of the job that you're going to start in, because no one can do the work for you. You're not going to be successful for somebody else doing it, right? So know what you need to do. I knew when I started in that trauma role that I was going to spend my first, however many weekends it took, staying in and studying, so that when work started on Monday and through the week, I would feel more comfortable, right? And I wasn't just flying, free, trying to figure it out, right? I really was trying to master it. So I think one would be, owning that position. And as you get further in your career, right, those weekends will free up where you don't need to stay home studying, and you can disconnect from your job because you have a handle on what you're doing, and you've been in the role for X amount of time. So one would be the ownership. 2 would probably be, kind of what we talked about this whole episode of, just relax and don't be afraid to say you don't know and you don't understand. I remember at the beginning, and I preach this to newer reps now, I'm like, I miss being able to say, I'm new, I don't know what I'm doing, because most clinicians, whether it's a surgeon, a nurse, a tech, whoever it is, most of them enjoy teaching and they want to help you and they want you to succeed. And it's better, so much better for you to say, I don't know, could you show me? Or help me explain, what you're doing in this case versus acting like you do know, and trust me, they know when you don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that would be number two, asking for help and feeling okay to say, I don't really know what's going on. And then three, just connections, do a great job. And LinkedIn has made that so easy for all of us. But even at your company, I started to do this towards the end of my striker career, but I wish I had done it more at that time. I've made a point, at Mentor now and within J&J to be strong in connecting with people around me. But that was what I talked about earlier of being in this bubble. Like, you really limit yourself to not knowing everything that's around you. And just because you love your job, as I mentioned, I do now, doesn't mean I still don't love learning about other people's jobs and what they do on a day-to-day. And again, we don't know where our futures are going at this point in our careers. Like, we have so much time, right? So connect with as many people as you can, learn about their jobs, learn what they love and don't love, and maybe, save that on a piece of paper or in the notes on your phone, and just connect with as many different people as you can, because I think, who you surround yourself with is just going to motivate you to be better, and that's going to really help you in your career and outside of your career, just in life in general.
I love that, Ali, and hope you guys wrote that down. Okay, I hope you guys are writing this down because this is life changer. And if you guys just practice what Ali just left you as an advice, the 3 steps to success in this field, you guys are going to be successful in whatever field that you choose to be in. And I really truly want to highlight the power of networking, you guys. We're not, I know we love our jobs, I know we love where we're at, but we're not living under a rock. You got to be open to other possibilities and hear other people's story, hear other people's grind. Everybody has their own ways of selling. Learn from them. Be that person that's like, how are you doing this? I remember, Ali, my very first year with the new company that I'm in, I would follow around the P Club winners and I'd be like, how did you do it?
I love
Teach
that.
me everything you know, right? And it's crazy because I watch unsuccessful reps. What do? Oh, that person didn't deserve it. Ugh, I would
Yes.
not, Let's
Right.
talk about that, Ali, because we're getting close here. And why is it important to learn from the best and always be a sponge and be open to new opportunities or new ways of selling? Why is it important for you, Ali, in your career?
Oh, it just makes me be a better rep all
Yeah.
around, right? And
Mhm.
and you also can learn from that what's best for you, right? Everything they do is not going to be, beneficial for you, but
Mhm.
you get this large umbrella of things, and then you can take what you want and don't take what you don't want, right? It's just great advice, and obviously they're successful for a reason, so there's got to be something in there that we can learn from. And even if we're the ones hitting P Club or, number one rep or whatever, like, you're still not the best, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's always better, and there's always room for us to grow. And if you think that you're the best, then, as you said earlier, but you need to walk into another room with some other people that, are
Yep.
better, because then you're in the wrong room if you think
Yep.
that you're the best person there.
Amen. Amen. And again, you guys surround yourself with like-minded individuals. I feel like that's the biggest change I've done this past year of like I cut out people that are no longer serving me. All right. And I feel like mindset, like really learning about your mind and your body and fueling your mind and your body with the right stuff. Ladies, don't watch Dateline. Uh don't watch trash TV. It's not really adding any value. Ali shared earlier that her first year as a trauma rep, she really spent her weekend studying about her screws, diameters, all that stuff. You guys are responsible for your own education. I say this all the time. Don't blame it on your managers. You are responsible. And I think part of being an adult is taking responsibility. We're not children here, you guys. So take responsibility. And the moment you start taking responsibility for feeling the way you feel or for not getting that sale, that truly is a game changer. And that's exactly what changed my life. That's exactly what took my career from down here to up here because I started taking responsibility. All right, you guys, this episode 42 of the Device Diary. Ali, I am so excited to have you today. Thank you so much
Oh,
for joining me. This has been such a great discussion. Today's episode is titled From Trauma to Transformation, Thriving in High Stakes Medical Sales. I hope you guys took notes because Ali dropped a bunch of nuggets for you guys to learn. Ali, before we end the show, can you tell our listeners and our viewers where can they follow you and how can they find you?
yes, I am on LinkedIn by my born given name. So Alexandra Flax. I go by Allie, but on LinkedIn, I'm Alexandra Flax. So I would love to connect and hear what you all thought about this episode. And Gaida, thank you so much. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining. Yes, connect with Ali, follow her, like her stuff. I mean, you get to engage with her. She,
Please. Yeah.
it's really, really cool to watch what you're doing, Ali.
Thank you.
And as a another rep in the space, I am really, really proud of you. Keep
Thank
doing what
you.
you're doing and keep inspiring other people because you truly are making a huge difference in this world. I appreciate you being on my show. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching, you guys. Today's episode 42 of the Device Diaries with Ali Flax, which I titled From Trauma to Transformation, Thriving in High Stakes Medical Sales. Remember, everyone, be bold, be brave, and always be you. I appreciate you guys, and we'll talk soon.